The rain doesn't fall gently. It hammers the city like it's trying to wash something away. Ethan Walker sits motionless in his car, parked across from the luxury condo he once called our future. Neon signs smear across the windshield, blurring the world into streaks of color, but his phone screen is painfully clear. The forwarded hotel invoice glows in his hand, sterile and unforgiving. His wife's name sits neatly typed at the top, Lena Walker. Room booked for 2. The dates are precise. The cost extravagant. Ethan doesn't blink, doesn't shake. This isn't suspicion anymore, it's confirmation. 7 years of marriage collapse into a single PDF file. The engine stays off, as if turning it on would mean choosing a direction, toward denial or toward truth. Outside, people pass by, laughing under umbrellas, unaware that a life is being quietly dismantled inside a parked car. Ethan presses play on the voicemail by accident, or maybe instinct. The sound cuts through the rain like a blade. Lena's laugh floats first, soft, relaxed, intimate in a way she hasn't been with him in months. It's not the laugh she uses at dinners or public events. It's unguarded. Then the man's voice enters, low and familiar with her name, saying Lena like it belongs to him. Ethan's jaw tightens, but his face remains calm, almost eerily so. There's no shouting, no dramatic gasp, just a quiet recalibration of reality. Every late night at the firm, every cancelled weekend, every time Ethan told himself he was being supportive instead of abandoned, this voicemail reframes it all. He lets it play to the end, absorbing every second like evidence in a trial. When it ends, the silence is louder than the city outside. The text arrives right on time, cruel in its normalcy, running late. Don't wait up heavy Blackheart hash. Ethan exhales slowly, eyes lifting from the phone to the building ahead. A penthouse light flicks on, 1 floor above where their shared life exists, but not their home. That's when understanding settles in, cold and complete. Lena isn't lying about being late. She's lying about where her life is. Ethan scrolls once more through the invoice, the voicemail, the timestamps, everything neatly aligned. He isn't reacting anymore. He's deciding. His thumb hovers, then taps a contact name we don't see. The call connects. We never hear the voice on the other end, but whatever it is, it's been waiting for this moment. Ethan finally speaks, calm and steady, like a man stepping into a role he was forced to accept. It's time, he says. I have everything. The rain keeps falling, but the storm has already passed. Ethan Walker was never loud about his intelligence. As an investigative financial analyst, he learned early that the most powerful truths reveal themselves to those who wait and observe. He believed in patience, patterns, and quiet consistency, traits that shaped not only his career but his marriage. When Lena's firm offered her a career-defining move to a larger city, Ethan didn't hesitate. He turned down promotions, explained it away as timing, and relocated without resentment. To him, loyalty wasn't sacrifice, it was alignment. Love meant being steady, not demanding applause for compromise. While Lena climbed floors of glass and steel, Ethan became the unseen foundation beneath her success. He handled logistics, smoothed transitions, signed NDAs without question, and stayed silent when her name needed protecting. He believed relationships weren't about competing trajectories but shared direction. What Ethan never considered was that stepping back long enough doesn't make you invisible. It teaches others how easy it is to overlook you. Lena Walker learned early that security was fragile. Growing up poor carved a permanent fear into her ambition, the terror of slipping backward. Success, for her, wasn't just achievement, it was armor. At the firm, she thrived on pressure, recognition, and the intoxicating currency of admiration. Power didn't change Lena, it clarified her priorities. As her career accelerated, her definition of love subtly shifted. She didn't stop caring. She started expecting love to adapt around her success. Ethan's steadiness, once comforting, began to feel static beside her momentum. Dinners were postponed. Conversations shortened. Affection became scheduled. She told herself it was temporary, that ambition required focus. Emotional neglect disguised itself as productivity, and absence became justified by progress. Lena didn't wake up one day and choose betrayal. She simply stopped checking whether Ethan was still standing beside her. In her climb upward, she never noticed when his hands slipped from hers. Their marriage didn't fracture in a single moment, it thinned quietly, day by day. Early love had been effortless. Inside jokes, shared routines, intimacy that felt private and safe. But as Lena's world expanded, Ethan's role narrowed. He became the constant background presence, reliable, unchallenging, easy to overlook. Emotional neglect arrived disguised as business, and Ethan mistook distance for stress, silence for trust. He protected her reputation instinctively, knowing what exposure could cost: shared assets, airtight NDAs, a firm built on perception. Even Marcus Hale's name surfaced only as professional proximity, nothing more. Ethan's silence became the shield that allowed everything else to happen. It isn't until he sits alone, replaying years in reverse, that clarity hits him with devastating precision. He didn't lose Lena suddenly. There was no dramatic departure, no clear goodbye. He was slowly erased, until nothing remained but his usefulness. Ethan doesn't go looking for proof, it finds him. He's unloading the dryer when Lena's gym bag tips over, spilling clothes, a water bottle, and a phone that doesn't belong to their life. It's old, unbranded, no case. A burner. The weight of it in his hand feels deliberate, as if it's been waiting. Curiosity stays controlled. Instinct takes over. The messages aren't poetic or passionate. They're efficient. Strategic. Marcus Hale's name appears casually, like a given. Conversations outline meetings, favors, timelines. Promotions discussed like chess moves. Then a line that settles cold in Ethan's chest: as long as Ethan stays harmless, we are fine. It isn't just infidelity, it's coordination. His marriage wasn't a secret affair, it was a variable being managed. Ethan sits on the bed, the room suddenly unfamiliar, realizing his loyalty wasn't just unappreciated. It was weaponized against him. That night, Ethan asks casually, almost lazily, about the hotel. His tone is light, observational, as if he's testing a theory rather than confronting a truth. Lena doesn't flinch. She doesn't pause. She doesn't ask why. She smiles and offers a clean, polished explanation about a last-minute firm booking, a scheduling error, nothing worth discussing. The ease of it is surgical. This isn't a lie born of panic, it's practiced. Ethan watches her closely, noticing how naturally she inhabits deception, how comfortable she is reshaping reality. That's when something inside him fractures, not loudly, not violently, but completely. The betrayal isn't the affair, it's the confidence with which she assumes his ignorance. When she adds, "You worry too much. You don't understand how this world works," Ethan understands the truth. She believes power grants permission, and silence is something owed to those without it. Ethan doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't pack a bag or threaten exposure. He nods, absorbs the moment, and lets Lena believe the conversation ended where she wanted it to. That's the mistake that seals her fate. In the days that follow, Ethan moves with purpose disguised as normalcy. He duplicates files, logs timestamps, cross-references messages with firm calendars and financial records. He reaches out to no one, yet. This isn't revenge, it's preparation. Late one night, alone in his study, he creates an encrypted folder on a secure drive. He names it simply, Insurance. Inside goes everything: messages, invoices, metadata, patterns. It's not leverage yet. It's potential. Ethan leans back, breathing evenly, understanding that he hasn't lost control, he's reclaimed it. The marriage is over, even if it continues on paper. From this point forward, nothing will ever return to normal. The house doesn't change, but the air inside it does. Lena's warmth fades into efficiency, short replies, sharper looks, affection replaced by correction. Every conversation feels like a test Ethan didn't know he was taking. She starts reframing arguments before they happen, subtly questioning his memory, his timing, his tone. When legal documents appear, revised trusts, asset reallocations, routine protections, she presents them with practiced calm. It's just smart planning, she says, as if caution is neutral and trust is optional. Ethan signs nothing. He listens. He watches. Each push toward paperwork feels less like prudence and more like positioning. The gaslighting is precise, not cruel, designed to exhaust rather than explode. Ethan lies awake at night replaying conversations, checking himself for doubt. The cruelest part isn't the manipulation, it's how familiar Lena makes it feel. As if this colder version of her has always been the truth, and is only just catching up. Ethan's conflict isn't loud, it's corrosive. Memory becomes the enemy. He remembers late-night laughter, shared victories, the woman who once celebrated his restraint as strength. Then reality intrudes, emails, timestamps, patterns that refuse to be romanticized. Grief settles in stages. First denial, then bargaining. Maybe power changed her, maybe stress explained everything. But the evidence doesn't argue. It accumulates. Financial anomalies surface. Conflicts of interest buried beneath shell entities. Firm-level cover-ups disguised as compliance loopholes. Marcus Hale's name threads through it all, guiding, shielding, leveraging. Lena isn't just involved, she's being used and protected in equal measure. Ethan understands the cruelty of that position, asset and liability at once. What devastates him isn't that she chose Marcus or the firm. It's that she chose power over loyalty, knowing exactly what his silence would cost him. Loving her now feels like betraying himself. Isolation completes the design. Friends echo Lena's version of events with uncomfortable ease, gentle concern masking quiet judgment. His stressed, overthinking, having trouble adjusting. Even family hesitates, unsure whether to trust evidence they haven't seen or a woman they admire. Ethan feels the ground thin beneath him. At a firm event, he nearly confronts Marcus, heart pounding, words lined up and ready. One public accusation could shatter everything. Instead, he stops. Noise would only protect them. Reputation absorbs scandal. Systems bury chaos. Silence, carefully timed, is the real weapon. That night, Ethan opens his calendar and schedules 3 calls, on different days, to different people, for different reasons. Each could change the outcome. Each carries risk. He stares at the screen, understanding the math. Only one call will matter. The rest are misdirection. The trap is set, not with anger, but with patience. The firm's atrium gleams like a monument to success. Glass, marble, soft music, cameras adjusting for the press. Lena stands at the center of it all, flawless and composed, one step away from partnership. Applause is rehearsed. Speeches cued. What no one sees is Ethan, miles away, staring at a secure portal as the clock ticks down. One call. One submission. Months of quiet consulting culminate in a single action. Evidence uploaded simultaneously, financial trails mapped, conversations timestamped, conflicts aligned with federal thresholds. There's no dramatic flourish, just confirmation receipts and procedural silence. Then the shift ripples outward. Doors lock. Conversations stall. Security stiffens. The celebration fractures mid-sentence as federal agents enter with practiced calm. Marcus Hale's smile falters first. Lena notices last, when a hand touches her elbow and the music cuts. Power doesn't shatter loudly. It fails cleanly, in full view of witnesses who don't yet understand what they're watching. Lena's call comes minutes later, frantic and raw, the composure gone. Her voice fractures between anger and disbelief, then collapses into panic. She shouts Ethan's name as if volume might reverse time. He answers calmly, sitting in a quiet room, phone balanced in his hand. He lets her speak until the words blur into noise. When he finally responds, his voice is even, almost gentle. "I didn't destroy you," he says. "I stopped protecting you." The sentence lands heavier than any accusation. For the first time, Lena hears the cost of his silence. The years he absorbed risk, redirected scrutiny, signed away leverage in the name of loyalty. She tries to bargain, to explain, to remind him of who they used to be. Ethan doesn't argue. There's nothing left to negotiate. The call ends without a goodbye, not out of cruelty, but closure. The marriage ends the way it truly died. Quietly. In the aftermath, headlines search for motive, revenge, jealousy, ego. They miss the point entirely. Ethan never wanted spectacle. He wanted accuracy. He had learned something Lena never did. Truth doesn't need volume when timing is perfect. As the firm unravels and Marcus is led away in cuffs, Lena finally understands the imbalance she misjudged. Power was never in her position or his silence. It was in what he chose to do with the facts. Ethan watches the coverage without satisfaction or grief, only relief. The weight he carried for years lifts, replaced by something steadier, self-respect. He doesn't celebrate. He doesn't gloat. He simply closes the folder labeled insurance and deletes it. Its purpose is complete. What remains is not revenge, but restoration, the reclaiming of his name, his work, his voice. Truth speaks last, and when it does, nothing else needs to be said. The divorce is finalized without a courtroom scene or whispered rumors. Paperwork moves through channels the same way the truth did, methodically, without noise. Ethan walks away clean, not because he fought harder, but because he prepared better. Assets are divided. NDAs dissolve under lawful scrutiny. There's no victory speech, no public vindication. Lena's consequences arrive differently. The firm distances itself. Invitations stop. Recommendations vanish. She doesn't become a headline or a symbol, just a cautionary absence. Sympathy is scarce, not out of cruelty, but fatigue. People move on faster than she expected. Ethan watches none of it closely. He understands that accountability doesn't require witnesses to be real. The most important outcome isn't what she loses, it's what he no longer carries. The weight of vigilance, of silence, of strategic restraint finally lifts. Justice doesn't feel triumphant. It feels quiet. It feels complete. The divorce is finalized without a courtroom scene or whispered rumors. Paperwork moves through channels the same way the truth did, methodically, without noise. Ethan walks away clean, not because he fought harder, but because he prepared better. Assets are divided. NDAs dissolve under lawful scrutiny. There's no victory speech, no public vindication. Lena's consequences arrive differently. The firm distances itself. Invitations stop. Recommendations vanish. She doesn't become a headline or a symbol, just a cautionary absence. Sympathy is scarce, not out of cruelty, but fatigue. People move on faster than she expected. Ethan watches none of it closely. He understands that accountability doesn't require witnesses to be real. The most important outcome isn't what she loses, it's what he no longer carries. The weight of vigilance, of silence, of strategic restraint finally lifts. Justice doesn't feel triumphant. It feels quiet. It feels complete. One evening, months later, Ethan opens his laptop and navigates to a familiar directory. The folder labeled insurance sits exactly where he left it, encrypted, untouched, no longer heavy. He opens it once, not to review, but to acknowledge what it represented: vigilance, preparation, survival. Then he deletes it. No hesitation. No ceremony. The file disappears, and with it, the version of himself that needed leverage to feel safe. The core truth settles cleanly in its place. Silence protects abusers, but truth dismantles them, calmly, precisely, without cruelty. Ethan closes the laptop and steps onto the balcony as the city hums below, indifferent and alive. He doesn't feel victorious. He feels finished. The story didn't end with revenge or reconciliation. It ended with restoration, the quiet reclaiming of a voice that no longer needs proof to exist. For the first time, Ethan isn't guarding the future. He's living in it. Months pass, not as recovery, but as normalization. Ethan's new apartment is small, intentional, clean lines, muted colors, nothing chosen to impress. Morning light enters without obstruction. There are no shared calendars on the wall, no compromises hidden in furniture placement. Peace feels unfamiliar at first, like silence after years of background noise. One afternoon, a letter arrives addressed to Lena Walker. The forwarding label is wrong. The past still reaches out sometimes. Ethan holds the envelope for a moment, noticing it's unopened. Whatever urgency it once carried no longer belongs to him. He writes the forwarding address neatly and drops it back into the outgoing mail without a note, without resentment. It isn't avoidance, it's clarity. The letter leaves the apartment the same way Lena did, without explanation, without ceremony. Ethan watches the door close and realizes something quietly profound. Nothing in this space waits for her anymore. That night, Ethan sits alone with a cup of tea cooling beside him, city sounds drifting through an open window. He thinks about power, not the kind Lena chased or Marcus wielded, but the version he misunderstood for years. Power was never control, never dominance, never proximity to influence. It wasn't noise or intimidation or leverage. Real power, he realizes, is choice. The choice to speak or remain silent. The choice to stay or walk away. The choice to stop shrinking so others feel larger. Ethan understands now that his silence once looked like loyalty, but functioned as permission. He had believed endurance was virtue, that restraint was strength. The truth is simpler and harder. Silence doesn't make peace, it delays accountability. As the city settles into night, Ethan doesn't feel anger toward the past version of himself. He feels gratitude. That man survived long enough to learn. This one gets to live. Ethan closes the window and turns off the lights, leaving only the glow of the city outside. There's no dramatic music, no moment of triumph, just a sense of completion settling into his bones. The story doesn't end because everyone was punished or redeemed. It ends because the truth no longer needs defending. Somewhere else, people will keep confusing power with ownership, with silence, with fear. Ethan knows better now. He learned it slowly, painfully, and permanently. As he prepares for sleep, one thought surfaces, not bitter, not proud, just clear. It's the sentence that would end the story if anyone ever asked him how he won.